Okay, guys, we're now going to get started. We appreciate your patience. By means of introduction, my name is Dan Miller from United Collegiate Umpires. I'll be joined on the call by Chris Marshall and Alex Skandalis, also from United, RussMatt President Rob Sitz, longtime RussMatt coordinator and assigner Bill Lehnert, and from our uniform supplier Stripes and Strikes, Keith Spaghetti. Following a few brief words from Rob, Bill, Chris, Alex, and myself, I just want to quickly review the topics that we'll be covering this evening. General information will be covered by Rob. The registration, vetting process, scheduling, fees, and payments will be covered by Alex. Expectations of umpires on and off the field will be covered by Chris, in addition to the observation program. Alex and Keith will discuss uniform requirements. The ejection procedures and philosophy will be covered by Chris. Best practice communication with all of us from United will be discussed by Alex. I will briefly discuss the UCU digital platforms, and then we will open everything up to question and answers. Before I hand this off to Rob, I just wanted to briefly thank Rob and Bill for their efforts over the past few weeks. Coordinating RussMatt Baseball is vital to the RussMatt brand. We know this, we respect this, and we look forward to the collaborative process required to meet our self-imposed expectations. Doing this is not only important to the RussMatt principals, it's also important to the colleges, the coaches, the student athletes, and the umpires. I would also like to thank all of the umpires for being on the call tonight. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate your interest. So I guess we'll begin tonight. Rob, if you would just kick it off with a few introductory words.
Hey, guys. Welcome. I'm Rob Sitz, RussMatt President. This last year was the first year of me taking over RussMatt from Dave Bernard. Just wanted to let you guys know, this was a collaborative effort with Bill and I to bring UCU on board with this. They've come highly recommended. I've also had a relationship all the way back to my playing days with John Porter and the MAC umpire group of coming down and doing their training when I was at Rollins College as a player and then also as a coach. So I've been familiar with the group for a long time and have seen the effort that they put into developing umpires, and umpires are a huge part of the RussMatt experience and overall experience for the coaches. So it's very, very important part to what we do. So very excited about this partnership with this group, and look forward to working with a lot of the guys that I got to meet last year, and I'm sure a bunch of new guys this year as well. So one thing I did want to mention to everybody is we actually signed the contract yesterday for Osceola County Stadium, which will be a huge upgrade to our venues that we have already, and that will be in addition to the venues that we have already at Lake Myrtle with the 9-field complex there, Chain of Lakes, the fields there. And now we'll have Osceola County Stadium, which was the Astros spring training just 2 years ago. A beautiful stadium there, and then 5 backfields and a nice locker room set up for the umpires and everything as well over there. So we're excited about that and feel like that's going to help us bring in some more D1 games, some more D2 games. And last year another organization was running an event similar to ours out of there. So we've now taken that over and look for our numbers to grow a little bit more with the game count and the number of teams participating in RussMatt this year as well.
Bill Lehnert, are you on the call?
Yes, sir. Just a quick word. Becky and I would like to thank all you guys for 13 years. Some of you have been with me since the beginning. We went from 32 teams the first year Dave entered into this venture, and up well over 200 now. And I think Rob and I have spent some time on this, and I think you guys will be very happy with the direction that Rob's moving in with the umpires. And I think UCU brings a lot of opportunities to you guys that you didn't have previously, and I just think it's a great fit. A lot of you guys know them, and I'm happy for you guys. And Becky and I will still see you guys at the merchandise trailers, and I'll see some of you for the fantasy camps in the fall. So wish you guys a lot of luck in the spring.
Chris?
Thanks, Danny. Guys, I just want to first off thank Rob for giving us this great opportunity, and Bill for all your efforts in the past as well. And it's going to be great to have you there with us down there and obviously helping us with some things in our adjustment period. Way back when I umpired in the RussMatt for a few years, and I remember some really good memories of times down there getting games in beautiful weather when there was 3 feet of snow in Rochester. And we're just excited about the future and the opportunity we have here and what we can provide not only for RussMatt but for the umpires involved too. So it's thanks to everyone involved, and I can't wait to get this thing started.
Alex?
Just wanted to thank everyone for joining us tonight on the call. Definitely wanted to thank Rob and Bill. I know this was an email and a venture that we kind of started a few months back, and looking forward to getting started here. Also wanted to thank John Porter, who couldn't be with us tonight, for his efforts in getting this coordinated. As Rob said, that's a long-standing relationship going through the Florida camps, and Rob being familiar with our program and with a lot of our instructors and umpires, I think has really helped and will help in the transition. So I want you guys to continue to have fun with this, continue to work hard, and excited to get started.
I'll just briefly add and echo the sentiments expressed by everybody, and just say that these type of agreements, they don't happen without a lot of hard work. So I just appreciate the efforts of all the principals on the call right now. Very simply, I think from the United point of view, we have 2 goals. We want to make Central Florida and the RussMatt Invitational a destination site for umpires, and we want to build relationships with a whole lot of umpires we have previously not met. That's exciting to us, and we look forward to it. And the way that we're going to accomplish this is by executing some of the things we are going to talk about this evening. And the first thing we're going to talk about is general information, and Rob has that.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to cover the general information. A lot of it for the RussMatt guys that have been a part of it, it's pretty much all of it staying the same. And I didn't even mention enough about Bill and Becky, and I want to thank Bill and Becky first and foremost for their, I think, 14 years with RussMatt and putting this event on and bringing all the great umpires that they've done and really created a family-like atmosphere with the RussMatt umpires and with the coaches that come down as well. So I definitely want to cover that first and foremost. But everything's pretty much staying the same as far as the pay of what RussMatt is, what we charge for the hotels is, or really I should say hotels, houses, vacations, condos, all the townhomes. We use different lodging places to put the umpires up during this time. But we charge $20 a night. We've had an umpire, Brian Troop, who's kind of organized that for us in the past, and hopefully he will continue that as well, and just working together in communication about how many games that we have, how many umpires that we need. There's a lot of moving parts to the RussMatt puzzle that goes on there, of how many games we're going to have every day to make sure that we have enough umpires to be down here to cover the games, and then also the right amount of umpires to be able to give you guys the amount of games that you want per day as well. So we will work closely in communication on that with as our registration goes. Our registration deadline is November 1st. So I pretty much by November 1st time frame there, in a couple of weeks there, know how many games we're going to have per day. And then just by December 20th, I get out the matchups, and by January 20th, I get out the actual field and time locations of all the games that we have. Last year we had 990 games during the RussMatt season. I expect that number to increase a significant amount with this new Osceola County complex and getting some more teams this year. So we'll see where that ends up. And I think I covered everything there. If I missed anything, you guys let me know.
Alex, with registration, vetting, and scheduling?
So the registration process will be very similar to what everyone has experienced in the past, or for the new people, I'll go through it very quickly. On RussMatt's website, under the event information tab, there is a tab for umpire registration. It appears as a Google form. There's a number of questions there, just related to personal information, as well as dates you would be coming down, dates you would need hotels, partner requests, and things of that nature. One of the key pieces to that is going to be the reference section. And in that section, we just ask really for you to provide the names of preferably assigners that you've worked for, but you also could add umpires that may be able to give you a reference as well. And you should expect that over the course of the next month or 2 months that Chris and I, Danny, we will be vetting those requests. We'll be talking to Bill as well about people that have been at the facility before, and going through that process to determine the umpires that we would like to have come down. As I've mentioned in some emails, we really want this to be an inclusive process. I mean, we have no intention of trying to cut anyone out or anything like that. If you've been a positive member of the RussMatt community for years, you're certainly welcome to be a part of this program, and we just want to say that up front. We're excited that I think we're going to have a lot of new UCU and MAC umpires who maybe haven't come down in the past, have some interest in coming down. Based on Rob's game schedule, what I would ask is that after you do put in a registration, expect to hear from Chris or Danny or I, sometime right after Thanksgiving in terms of, your registration and things of that nature. So if you are booking a plane ticket, please don't do it before you hear from us. We certainly don't want to have anybody coming down on dates where there's not enough games or anything of that nature. We want to make sure that we can offer you the games in the time period that you're looking to come down. So again, if you're making plane reservations, again, we're kind of looking at a right after Thanksgiving, December 1st, to really start to get in touch with everybody and start to firm up some specifics. We won't obviously have a specific schedule, but we're going to have a pretty good idea at that point of, the needs that we have and how that will all flow and what dates we certainly can accommodate you. I know that payment is always certainly something that everyone wants to have an answer to, and we obviously know that you guys are laying out money to come down and be in Florida, so it's also nice to have money coming in the door quickly. And I think from our perspective, tentatively, my plan is to pay through Arbiter Pay every Monday. So games will be in Arbiter. Obviously, the games you work will be there. The fees that are associated with them, as Rob describes on the website, you will be paid Monday midday. Now, if the tournament starts on a Thursday or a Friday, we may not pay the first Monday, but that'll only be 10 days instead of 7. So on that payment period. So we want to make sure that there's a constant flow that way for you guys, because again, we certainly understand that you have expenses in getting down there, things, money to lay out, et cetera, et cetera. So from that end, I think I'm good there, Danny.
Okay. 2 things that are really important to all of us at United Collegiate are the expectations we have of our umpires and the observation program that we have implemented in all of our conferences. Chris Marshall is going to discuss that. And for those of you who don't know Chris coordinates 4 Northeast Division I baseball conferences. Chris?
Thanks, Danny. Guys, I just want to touch on a few things that I'm sure a lot of us already think about, and when we go into games, wherever it may be, it's the mindset of most of us, but it's certainly something that I want to cover, and just from the perspective from United Collegiate Umpires, and then I think really from any organization that you guys may work for. These games count, and in a lot of cases you have teams that are nationally ranked. So these games, these wins and losses may impact postseason selections further down the road. So we want you guys to have the mindset that these aren't spring training games. They're not scrimmages. Certainly the players and coaches, they don't view it as such. So nor should we. And really, we're just looking for that same level of hustle and effort, professionalism that you guys would provide in a normal game up north or in the Midwest or wherever you guys are coming from, or even in Florida. So really, that's what we're looking for. And remember that you represent RussMatt, United Collegiate Umpires, the NCAAs, but more importantly, yourselves every time you step on the field. So I think if you have that mindset, that attitude walking onto the field, that's exactly what we're looking for. And we've shown a commitment to RussMatt to provide the highest level of accountability and effort from our umpires on the field. And then really, at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. And it's simply the standard that we expect, and so does RussMatt. So it's just having pride in your work and working hard and doing the right thing, which kind of leads me to the next subject, the off-the-field expectations. For a lot of us, myself included over the years, 20-degree weather and snow, and we go to Florida, and it's a great time to be down there. It's warmer. We have the beach and a lot of fun things to do. But we just ask you guys to do the right thing. And remember what I just said a couple of seconds ago about representing UCU and the RussMatt, the conferences you work in, the NCAA. It's not spring break. You know, we expect you to work hard, have fun when you're not on the field, and enjoy the whole experience, because really umpiring is an experience. We're out there for 3 hours, hopefully a little less, doubleheader, maybe 4 or 5 hours out of, a 24-hour day. We expect you to take in the sights and have a good time down there. But obviously, we can't act like teenagers or like it's a frat party down there. We just have to act like adults. So treat the time in Florida as if you were working a conference weekend, working any midweek game in your conferences or for assigners that you work across the country. Be aware of your surroundings, where you eat, who's at the hotel or townhouse, wherever it may be, and just be careful about what you talk about. And if you identify a situation that, maybe you shouldn't be in or around fans or players, then just remove yourself from that situation. Once again, no different from what we ask during the regular season. And at the end of the day, guys, nothing's going to get you sent home quicker than you acting like a knucklehead down there or embarrassing yourselves, any of the organizations involved. So just do the right thing. That's really the only message here. Have fun, enjoy the experience, but just do the right thing. Now, a couple of administrative things I want to cover as well. Make sure that we're contacting our partners the day before the game. That's common practice. I think we've all been doing that for a very long time. Arrive at your games an hour before, just like we do in a regular season. And when you arrive, guys, go up to the field and confirm with the coaches a game or start time. I've heard and I've seen some information from Bill. Maybe at times one team isn't there yet, or a team's coming from another field, or maybe umpires are coming from another field. So we don't ever want those coaches to feel like they have to worry about umpires. That should be a given. They should just assume we're there, know we're going to be there, and all they have to do is really worry about their pregame duties. So make sure we go up, we say hello, we confirm the game times, and do that as a crew, okay? And it's all part of being there an hour before and being ready to work. And once again, just treat these games the same way that you would up north. So really, the things I've covered here, guys, it's nothing different from what we all do every day. We're just asking you to do the same that you guys are used to doing in Florida, just like you would anywhere else in the country. Now I'm going to touch on the observation program, guys. And, this is a part of what we're bringing to RussMatt that we're very excited about, because I think it's beneficial to all of us involved, certainly to RussMatt, to our organization, but more importantly to you guys, the umpires. We're going to have decision makers down there watching these games. Myself as a coordinator, John Porter, who coordinates 2 Division I conferences, Alex with his Division III and junior college conferences, Scott Taylor, the Division II national coordinator, will be down there on site. Possibly Don Umlin, Division III coordinator, and Matt Moore, who's a Division III coordinator as well. So you guys are going to have the opportunity to be in front of guys that can make decisions within the NCAA, and that's great for everybody involved. It's great to get some early season exposure, while you're working out some of the kinks. But anytime you guys have an opportunity to work in front of a coordinator, I know when I was on the field, I would look forward to those dates and make sure that I did my very best, not only for the game, but to sell myself a little bit. Let's be honest. The evaluators are going to provide guys with that early season feedback that we all want. I mean, how many of us guys jump on the field for the first time without seeing a pitch or doing some cage work? Hopefully not many of us, but it happens. But even with working some cage work or doing some scrimmages indoor, there's nothing like being on the field early in the season to see plays and get your footwork down and get your baseball shape back. So, I mean, this is a great opportunity to get that feedback. And I would love, and when I did work some games early in the season, it was great to get some feedback. And, if there's something I'm doing wrong early on, something that I can turn around and improve upon early in the season, this is the best time to do it. Now you're prepared once you go back up north or out west or wherever, even in Florida, to kick your season off the right way. And it's great that we have the opportunity to also provide useful information to your coordinators. So, let's say you work for somebody in the Midwest and we've already gone through the vetting process. We've seen you work. That coordinator calls me or I reach out to him. I can say, hey, this guy did a great job. This is what he's doing good. And so another useful piece of information that we can pass along to help you guys in your future. It also allows us to develop a database of umpires. We want to get some pictures. We want to store these observations. And honestly, a lot of this stuff that we're going to use in our observation process and evaluations, we're going to use for the future to better assign these games in Florida and to give RussMatt the great umpiring that they deserve. So in a nutshell, guys, that's what we're looking for with our observation process and our expectations.
One of the most important things to Rob, the RussMatt principals, and all of us at United Collegiate is the appearance of all of you umpires on the field. What I'm specifically referencing is the uniform. And it's really important for us at United to convey the expectations and the requirements as directly as we possibly can. Towards that end, Alex is going to discuss that right now, and we also have Keith Spaghetti on the line from Stripes and Strikes.
Guys, I think we have 2 requirements at United pretty much everywhere we are and everywhere we assign. And that's number 1, that you come equipped and ready to work with a United hat. And those are available from Keith. He will speak about that here in a second. The second piece is that you guys match, okay? And with all of the different uniforms that have been out there over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, there's probably like 4 black shirts that are out there, 3 different light blue shirts. Honestly, we don't care which one of those you and your partner choose to wear. I really don't. If it has the gray panel down the side, you both should have it. If it has the white line, I know the guys in the Midwest are still using that shirt. If it's that, let's both have that on. Let's not have one guy with the line, one guy with the gray panel, one guy with the old shirt that has just the white piping on the collar. If you're wearing light blue, have the same light blue. There's Columbia now, there's Sky, whatever they all are. All that we ask is that you look exactly the same. a different shade of light blue is just not going to cut it. So as assignments come out, you see who you're working with. If you guys can figure it out and be with a white line or a gray panel, whatever it is, if you get there and there's an issue, you're either going to have to get something quickly or borrow from someone in your house, whatever it may be. But it's just not going to be acceptable to have different shirts on or as umpires. Same thing with jackets. If we're in some craziness and we're in jackets, if we both have majestic black shells or the Smitty black shell, that's what we wear. Let's not have one guy with white stripes on his jacket and one guy wearing a black shell. Now, obviously, the plate guy can wear a shirt and the base guy can wear a jacket. We all know that. So, again, not a huge requirement. Just please, we ask, get the hat, get it in a timely fashion, and then also in terms of shirts, just make sure you match. And I think at this point we're all wearing charcoal slacks. I mean, we're not going to get too bent out of shape in terms of I have the Honig's poly wool and you have the Smitty or whatever they are now. I mean, those shades of gray might be a touch different, but we know there are all charcoal slacks. We're not going to get into that, but let's put the heather grays in the garbage if anybody still has those. Keith, did you want to talk a little bit about the process of guys getting hats from you and how that's going to work?
Yeah, hi guys. This is Keith Spaghetti. A lot of you guys I've worked with in the past, and I'm happy to be the supplier of hats for the UCU. Pretty simple, and I think the great thing about the UCU is exactly what Alex just went over. They're not making you put numbers on anything. They're not making you put logos on anything. They're saying match up. All right, just wear the hat and represent the brand. So what we will be doing is Monday, you can start ordering your hats. Now, here's the situation with the hats. We order them every year, and they come in January. We probably have a surplus of over 100 hats left in inventory. Regardless if you order them Monday or December 25th, you will get them the second week of January. Now, if you happen to order 2 7 1/4, 6 stitch, and we have them in stock, and that's all you order from us, we'll ship them out immediately. But the likelihood is a bunch of people are going to order, and there's going to be we don't get our booking order until January, where we order over 1,000 UCU hats. So don't get nervous, but once again, I think timely fashion was a great statement by Alex in saying don't wait till January 15th and all of a sudden February 15th we have games in RussMatt, and now you're stressing for hats because all the 7 1/4s are out and we're banging out new ones. So the earlier the better, as in everything. And if we have them in stock, we will certainly send them out to you immediately. You can go on our website at www.stripesandstrikes.com. Order them as you would with any other hat from any other vendor. A couple of things that we do have, though, is the UCU. If you do work UCU conference baseball or non-conference baseball, the default uniform is the MLB-style shirt, which is the black shirt that you see on TV right now with the gray panels, or the sky blue with the black panels. We've been fortunate enough to still hang on with Majestic and make a deal with them where we were able to order approximately 300 shirts of the actual Majestic style shirt if you would want that rather than the Smitty. That will be first come, first serve. And it's a one-time deal that Majestic kind of threw at us. We bought into it because we know that Majestic makes a superior product than most of the companies that replicate these shirts. We will also, if you are working UCU, and I don't want to go off the RussMatt trail too much here, but have a resupply of the cold weather jackets, as well as a new item coming in that you guys see on TV, the plate pullover that is a quarter zip and has the gray sleeves. We will be bringing that in as well, and we're just waiting for some prototypes of that. So simply, I guess my best advice is order early, and don't get nervous, as you will get them. Certainly, you can email me, text me, as much guys who have my number. I'll get back to you right away as far as when your order is coming. But if you order, for instance, a hat that we don't have in stock tomorrow or Monday, we will reply with you in an email. This will not be available until January, but you will certainly have them for RussMatt use. Anything else, Alex, Danny, Chris, that you'd like me to address at this point?
I don't think so, Keith. I guess to just summarize from my perspective, the only real uniform change is that we will be asking RussMatt umpires to be purchasing a United Collegiate Umpire hat.
Absolutely.
That's the only change in terms of the uniform.
Let me just reiterate also, or even just state, that also means no association logos, patches, anything on the shirts whatsoever.
Hello, Alex. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Alex, I'm sorry to cut in like this. I'm cutting on the floor. I might have come in at the last minute. This is Willie Baez. With regards to the RussMatt tournament, everyone will be required to have some sort of insurance, as they have in the past?
Willie, let's hold that question to the end, okay? We're going to open it up for questions at the end. Let's hold it till then.
Okay.
We'll now transition to what I have been referring to as the flashpoint topic, as I've been, especially over the course of the last few days, I've been trying to speak to as many people as possible, as have Alex and Chris. And the one topic that seemingly comes up frequently is ejections at RussMatt, procedures, and just generally how to handle that while we're umpiring games at RussMatt. Chris will handle this topic.
As I mentioned before, guys, with these games being meaningful in the way that we approach that, we expect the umpires, obviously, to handle those situations in the same manner that you would in any other game, conference play, non-conference play, in the areas of the country that you work. We know that ejections are part of the game. We know it's going to happen. Hopefully, they don't, but it's part of the game. One thing I'll put out there, guys, if it's an ejection in New Jersey, in Minnesota, in any other part of the country, it's still an ejection at RussMatt. And certainly we're not sending a message here, nor do we want to have a reputation for umpires that are just throwing people out. But that being said, we have to handle situations, and we have to be consistent with the way that we handle them and consistent with the way that we handle them in our regular season, okay? So basically, guys, we're following all of the NCAA ejection and suspension policies that we're all used to. That's the way it's going to be in RussMatt, and I think that most of us, if not all of us, are following those now. We expect umpires to follow the warning policy with players and coaches. Now, obviously, without getting into great detail, we know there's situations where if something happens and it gets personal, whatever the case may be, there are cases where a warning isn't possible. But following the NCAA policy of issuing warnings to players and coaches, that's what we're going to follow here, guys, and that's what we're expecting you guys to do. Our job is to diffuse situations, not to escalate them, not to be the aggressor. Guys, we don't want guys or umpires that are going out there yelling and screaming at players and coaches, because that's just not what we're about, and that's not what the game is about anymore. The game has changed, and we have to change with it and change the way that we handle these situations. So we have to listen to coaches. We have to answer their legitimate questions when they're asked. I mean, that's just being professional. And then we eject the offenders when necessary, okay? If you have an ejection, okay, make sure that you alert the coaching staff or any administrator of any suspension before you guys leave the field. And this is something that we talked about as Division I coordinators about a month ago. We realize sometimes notifying a coach or a player that they're suspended right away isn't the most comfortable thing to do. Ideally, that's what we do, but if there is going to be any suspension that we have to impose, somebody has to know before we leave the field, okay? That's just NCAA policy. Once the game ends, contact the coordinator, whether it's myself, Alex, John, whoever's down there. I plan on being down there most of the tournament. We need to know by phone immediately after the end of the game that you guys had an ejection. Right now, it might be a little bit different now that we're on site, and not that we'll be at every site. Maybe a little bit different than up north or out in the Midwest where, guys aren't visible. But we have to know right away if you guys had an ejection so we can start the process. And then we're going to follow the ejection suspension report and make sure that that's submitted within 8 hours of the contest. Once again, guys, that's just the NCAA policy, and we're going to use the NCAA ejection form on the arbiter. So I would have to assume that most of us have had an ejection or two in our lives, and most of us are familiar with following the arbiter form. If not, certainly one of us will be there to help you through the process. And honestly, guys, I think I can speak for Alex and everybody else. In most, if not all cases, we would like to actually go through and make sure that ejection report is filled out correctly anyways. So we'll be there to aid you in the process, okay? That being said, guys, once again, it's just the same process we've been using in the past. We use all the time. If you're professional, you do the right thing, you treat players and coaches with respect, you're firm and fair, then this will all work out, okay? One thing I'll say, and I know that we've covered this for a lot of the UCU umpires on our conference calls in the past, what we don't want is bad ejections. We want you guys to handle things the right way, do the right thing, warn when necessary, okay? But certainly don't put us in a position as coordinators with a bad ejection or if you guys just act inappropriately, okay? We want to be able to defend you guys, and we will defend you guys. But just make sure that we're following the right procedures. We're doing what we need to as umpires to do the right job out there, okay? And follow the process and the procedures that we've set forth, okay? That's all I have on that, Danny.
Chris, Alex, Danny?
Yes.
This is Don Umland. Thought that this might be an appropriate time for chime in to say hello and let you know I've been listening. And I just want to thank you, Chris, for really providing that information as well as it could be said from an NCAA perspective. So thank you very much. And want to just let you know and the guys know that from my perspective, my intent is to try to get down there in some capacity as well. And I'm not trying to jump on the call and take over, but want to let you guys know I'm here and support you, and let you know that this process of, well, I'll stop there. Guys, I just want to say thank you, and if you have any questions of me, I'm still be listening, and we'll chime in as needed.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah,
Don,
thanks, Don.
We appreciate you being on the call. We're just now going to jump to a topic that is very near and dear to the heart of Alex and Chris. When you have a high volume of games, there's always a high volume of changes. And for anybody that hasn't been in the position of doing this type of assignments, in the best case scenario, it is very challenging. To help this process, it is very important to communicate with Alex, to communicate with Chris and myself in a specific means. So Alex just wants to briefly talk about best practices so we can, at least right now, start with transparent, direct communication in terms of how we would like all of you to communicate with us.
So the first thing is you guys, as you come down to RussMatt on a daily basis, basically will know who from the UCU side is, quote unquote, the coordinator on call. So when Chris talks about speaking with the coordinator after an ejection, that means whoever is the in charge for that day, that's who you guys need to contact. So don't be worried about, if it's two teams from the Midwest, getting in touch with the coordinator of those teams, during the regular season. We will take the information, you guys will fill out the forms, and that information will all fall down the line as it needs to. So again, your contact for an ejection is going to be that person from UCU who is, on call for that day, that week, that weekend, whatever it may be. And you'll see basically emails from us almost daily saying, hey, today it's Danny, here's his cell. To that end, from an email standpoint, we have set up an email for solely RussMatt business. So anything that relates to RussMatt should be sent to RussMatt, RussMatt, @umpires.org. And that's at all times. So don't copy Chris personally, me personally, Danny personally. If you have something about RussMatt, whatever it is, email that address. Okay, so we've set that up because, again, as Danny kind of just said, we have so many emails coming in, and just flowing everything to that one email address will really help in the communication process. I know as we keep going on, 2016, 17, 18, it's becoming more and more popular to send text messages. And I will tell you this from my standpoint, and I don't think I have any disagreeers from Chris or Danny. If you have something that is important, please do not send it in a text message. If you want to say, hey, how you doing? That could be a text message. But if you have anything of any importance relating to RussMatt, relating to anything umpire related, please do not text us. When those texts start coming in, and as we all know on our phone, you see the last 5, and then that next 15, 20 are down the chain, and once it's off my screen, somehow it's gone. So emails never go away. I'm going back on a daily, hourly, weekly basis and making sure that I've answered every email that I do have or that we do have. So if there's something important, please do not send text messages. Also, from a phone call standpoint, I think we've got into the habit a little bit of expecting that if we call somebody and they see a missed call, they're just going to call back. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case. So if you have something specific that needs a phone call and you call whoever the coordinator of the day is, or if it's me or if it's Chris, whoever it may be, leave a message, tell us exactly what you need, and leave your phone number. Leave if there's a best time to contact you that night because you're going to be out with your wife, whatever. Like whatever the situation is, be very specific. Let us know exactly who you are, what you need, et cetera, et cetera. You have no idea how many voicemails I get that somebody talks for 4 paragraphs before they've ever even told me who they are or what their phone number is. And it's just not an effective way to communicate. And as we talk about high-pressure situations, like on certain days at RussMatt it's going to be, those little things that I just mentioned can go a long way in making our lives a little bit easier, and which makes, in turn, the whole tournament run better. We will, this is tentative, but probably 85%, on February 5th, I don't know the time yet, probably around the same time, we will have a pre-tournament conference call. So we'll review a couple of the same things, probably reiterate some of the things, but we will have a pre-tournament conference call February 5th. Again, there'll be a ton of notifications about that, but I did just want to throw that on everybody's radar, just from the standpoint of having some sort of communication with everybody who's working, with the coordinators, with Rob, before we actually start playing games. And I know we've got a few weeks left at the February 5th date. So that's really all I have in terms of communication, Danny.
Okay, as Alex just talked about, it's important for all of you to communicate with us in a, direct, consistent manner, we also have a responsibility to communicate with you guys. So towards that end, and we're going to develop some specific means to communicate with just RussMatt umpires. We have yet to put that entire plan in place. But for the time being, and this is really directed at the umpires who aren't familiar with us at United Collegiate, we utilize multiple digital platforms. The most up-to-date platform with information is our Facebook page. That can be found at United Collegiate Umpires. In addition to all of the information that we put on that platform, sometime in the, I don't want to commit to an exact date, but somewhere in the September, October, November area, throughout that period of time, we will be posting a bunch of training content that, for all of you umpires who aren't familiar with us, it can't hurt to take a look. It a lot of good, useful information, and it's provided by a lot of what I always call the brilliant minds on our instructor staff. The other platforms that we use are, of course, our website. That can be found at www.unitedumpires.org. And we are on Twitter at United Umpires. The @ United Umpires. With that said, what I would like to do now is open this up to any questions that any of you might have, and we will provide as many answers as we can. If we don't have the answers right now, we will get back to you.
Hey, this is Dave Dieselhorst. What is the actual season length?
I'll take that. February 23rd is the earliest date I have a team registered right now that's looking for games. And then March 31st is the last date right now that I've got a team looking for games.
Good evening, gentlemen. This is Willie again. You may have answered this question already at the beginning of the session. I kind of came in the middle. We'll still be required to have some sort of form of insurance while we go down to the RussMatt?
I'll take that one, guys. Willie, how bud? My understanding is, and I will certainly go back and talk with Rob on this too, but I don't think that we diligently check ABUA and NASO insurance, but I do think that we certainly highly recommend people carry it. Again, I'll have to circle back with Rob and see if he's looking for proof of that insurance before guys come down. But to everyone on this call, I really recommend that you guys all carry that. I mean, I certainly carry NASO personally, and I'm sure that speaking for a lot of people, we all, they all try to carry that as well, just because of the additional coverage that it gives us from a liability standpoint.
Sir, Gerald Odette here. I'm assuming our schedules are going to be through Arbiter, since we're going to Arbiter Pay for payment. Is that correct?
Yes.
How far out do you suppose? I mean, I know it's a long way away, but how far ahead will our schedules be, as far as, will it be a week long, 2 weeks long, day by day, or how would that work?
Well, it certainly won't be day by day. I kind of pointed at December 1st, talking to all of the umpires about the dates that they've provided, and then, when we can certainly accommodate them being down based on game numbers. And as the schedule, kind of pans itself out, I would assume we would try to do as much assigning as we can up front. I certainly don't want to be doing it day by day, week by week. I mean, certainly there will be changes and things of that nature, but I would assume, based on time that people provide and acceptance into the program, that we're going to try to schedule it out as far as we can. Now, does that mean someone like yourself who may live in Florida, something may change and we call you and say, hey, we have an opening? Sure, that certainly is a little bit of a different animal for someone that lives close versus someone that's coming down from, say, New Hampshire. So I hope that answers the question and helps you.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you, sir.
While guys are thinking of questions or not thinking of them, let me just reiterate that, after we get off this call, there is an opportunity that needs to be taken advantage of to actually register. I've heard from a number of umpires who have expressed interest, either through casual phone conversations or emails, but in terms of registration, actually getting into the program, being vetted for the program, we will need everyone to, follow up and actually go through that registration process on the web. Don't think that if you talk to me and said, hey, I'd like to come down, that's going to get it done. We certainly need you to go through that process.
Yeah, Tim Anderson. I heard mention we can bring wives down.
Obviously, you have the ability to bring down whomever you would like. I do not believe we're going to have any significant others living in umpire housing. So if you are in a situation where you would like to bring your wife, you're probably going to be on your own in terms of finding lodging and things of that nature.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, hello, Alex?
Yes.
Okay, I have actually a two-part question.
Who are you?
Foster West.
Oh, okay.
For the people who have been going to RussMatt, I've been going now for like probably 8, 9, 10 years. I lost track. Normally, what I had done in the past on Arbiter, because Bill didn't use Arbiter at the time, I would block out my schedule up north for the whole month of usually March, because I'd usually go down there for 4 weeks.
Sure.
Is there a way on Arbiter, because I'm not that great with Arbiter, is there a way to somehow mark Arbiter so that the other assigners and UCU don't assign me games up north while I'm going to be in Florida? That's part one. And part two, for the people who have been going down there 9, 10 years, when the schedule is given out, will some preference be given to them since they've been going down as far as if I want to go down again for 4 weeks like I normally do on a regular basis?
So let me tackle part one first.
Okay.
And so I personally, or Chris or Danny, on that kind of December 1st date, really will be going through the list of registrations and probably trying to talk to almost everybody individually, just in terms of, what you want to do. And, obviously there's going to be guys that want to take a day off here or there, and really getting a feel for everything that each umpire individually has going on that they would like to be part of their whole experience. So that's the time to talk about that. Now, in terms of your question about Arbiter, obviously Arbiter gives us the ability to block dates for individual groups. So what I would say is if you're coming down south and you're working for United at RussMatt, that you leave all of those dates open, and if stupid me assigns you a game in New Paltz, New York, you just call me and say, hey, Alex, remember I'm in Florida. And in terms of the rest of your assigners, if you're blocked on those dates, then it's not an issue. So, again, open for United, if you're in Florida, and block for everyone else. And obviously if we brain fart and give you something in New York when you're in Florida, we can fix that pretty easily. But we certainly don't want to create any conflicts for any other assigners or any other situations that may come up. And again, if you're not sure how to do that, Foster, when we talk sometime around December 1st, I'm happy to walk you through that and show you how to do that. But
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And then the second part, I don't. Again, this is our first time doing this. It's a large group of games that basically when you listen to Rob, it's going to certainly get larger. And I don't really envision somebody saying to me, if they're a vetted umpire that is qualified and has been a positive part of the RussMatt experience, for me to say to you, hey, Foster, you want to give me 4 weeks? I only want 10 days. I just don't see that happening. It's what you've done in the past, as long as you've been a positive member. I mean, that certainly goes a long way, and we'll obviously talk to especially Bill to understand that information. So I never like to use the word preference, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. Again,
right.
Just an overall inclusive program and trying to work with the guys who have been positive members of the community in the past.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions?
This is Don. Do you mind if I chime in for a second?
No, I was just about to, had nobody asked or had any other questions, I was about to thank you, Don, for being on the call, and just to really let everybody know that with the vast majority of games, I guess that's not the exact way to say it, but with a significant portion of Division III games being played at RussMatt, it's really neat and cool that you were on the phone. So,
well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Danny. Danny. Sorry. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. There is a significant number of games that are played down there, and these, given that the schedule for Division III baseball is not a large number as you see for the Division I schools, when it comes to region rankings, I can't overstate the relevance of these games. And here's another thing I just want to share. For those guys who end up coming down and then heading back up north, this is a tremendous opportunity to meet one of the requirements that it makes you even postseason eligible, and that's to work at least 6 Division III games have to be worked in order to even make yourself onto a list. And it doesn't seem like a large number, but if you're a guy that doesn't go south and is working a schedule that's in multiple conferences or multiple levels, sometimes that can be a problem, especially if the weather is challenging up north. So I think guys that take advantage to go south, while it may not be anything that's in their mind at this time, or maybe they're on the cusp of getting to the postseason, this is one of the requirements, and your coordinators are the individuals that validate that participation. So twofold. One, it's relative for the postseason requirement. Two, it's particularly relevant that you have individuals that are going to be monitoring, evaluating, giving you feedback of information that potentially could end up on my desk. I am going to make an attempt to get down there for some time. It may be just to come watch. It may be for me to a chance to come down and work. I don't know. But the bottom line, whether I'm there or not, there are individuals that are on this phone call that I get regular feedback from for recommendations. So please take advantage of those opportunities. But remember one thing, work all these games as if you want to work them no matter if there's somebody watching or not watching. It should not separate just because, such and such is in the stands. That shouldn't even be a factor. If it is, then you're working for the wrong reason. And I don't even have to state the reasons why. I mean, you work to the best of your ability for the betterment of the game. So without being too long-winded, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be on the call, to chime in with a few things. Obviously, if there are questions that do come my way periodically, I will attempt to answer them, but there are other people that are in the system that can answer them for you. And first and foremost, those should be your coordinators. And then if it can't be answered from there, usually they're in touch with me. So, again, thank you.
Once again, Don, I'm sure I speak for Chris, Alex, Rob, and everybody on the call. We really appreciate you being on the call.
Very much so. I'm going to step away. This is a tournament that's relevant to me. I came down and worked at it before, too. I think it's great what you guys are doing, and look forward to future communications. And have a good evening.
Thanks, Don.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, guys. I got one more question. I didn't want to interrupt Don, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
This is Cody Hawkins from Illinois. I'm just curious on the aspect of if you filled out the registration already, and then knowing some of the information that we know from tonight, if we fill that out again, obviously that's going to give you multiple copies. You guys just going to go with the last one you get, or should I email someone and say, hey,
Cody,
this one? Or?
Cody, it's Alex. I saw your registration. If you fill out another one, or I think there's only about 11 or 12 guys who have filled it out. So if anybody who's on there fills it out again, I'll just disregard the oldest one and go with the new one. Hey, guys, a question that I'm sure nobody wanted to ask that I'll offer the answer to, just so that you guys all have the information. I just want to let you know that your game fees are your game fees for this tournament. There are no assigning fees associated with anything that goes on at RussMatt that we will be, taking out of your checks or anything like that. So I know that's always an odd question to ask, but I know one that is obviously on the forefront of umpires' minds. So we just certainly wanted to say that up front without anyone having to ask that question.
Thank you, Alex. Any other questions out there? Rob, before we conclude, do you have anything else you would like to say?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for being on the call, and as I said before, you guys are a huge part of RussMatt, and I look forward to this partnership with UCU. And one more thing on the schedule, too, I don't think I covered, but February 23rd to March 31st are the dates right now, with probably 65-70% of those games being played March 1st to March 17th. So those 2 weeks are very important to us, obviously. Those are busy 2 weeks, with that March 10th weekend being very, very busy, with teams staying over that weekend and teams coming in right before that weekend. So if you are looking at the dates, those are very, very important dates to us. And I think that's it. But I just want to thank you guys and look forward to meeting a lot of you. And I can't tell you enough the importance of the quality umpires as my communication with the coaches, and as it's been covered many times here, how important these games are, especially in the D3 where they don't quite play as many games, and all the regional games that they get down here, and the nationally ranked teams that we get down here as well. But these games are extremely important to these coaches. The matchups are a huge part of the reason why they come to us, and they take these games very seriously. So we want to provide the best product we can on the field for those guys as well.
Thanks, Rob. We appreciate you being on the call. Alex or Chris, do you have anything?
No, Danny, I think we've covered just about everything here. Once again, just very excited to get this process going. Obviously, meet new umpires that we have not met before, and invite guys who work for us during the spring season to make every effort to come down and be a part of this.
Okay, I guess before we wrap this up, I just wanted to very quickly let everybody know that an audio recording of this conference call will be on our website, and I'll post it on the Facebook page. If I don't have it on the page tomorrow, I will certainly have it up there by Monday. To reiterate a few things that Alex covered, if you have any email correspondence, please address it to RussMatt@umpires.org, RussMatt@umpires.org. Hopefully we'll have a conference call on February 5th. I shouldn't say hopefully. We expect to have a conference call on February 5th with a time to be determined. And before I conclude, let me just let everybody know on the phone that on our website, if it's not tomorrow, it'll certainly be this weekend, we will have an entire list of our fall clinic schedule. We're still working on a few things, but we expect to have that wrapped up certainly in the next 24 to 48 hours. So with that, I just want to thank all of you.
Hey, Danny.
Appreciate your time and interest. Sure, who's up?
This is Jim. I just want to let you know that the list of clinics is on the website on the camp and clinic schedule page.
Okay, thanks, Jim. So that took care of that. So just as I was saying, we appreciate all of your time and interest. And as someone who will essentially be in Central Florida for the entire tournament along with Chris, I certainly look forward to meeting all of you. And if you have any, questions coming up even after the call, just shoot us an email or a text, and we will respond as soon as we can. So with that, we'll say goodnight, and we will talk to all of you guys soon.